In 1976, the world of cinema was changed when a blood-shock ending to a troubling psychodrama bled its way across America's movie screens. Still famous today, Robert De Niro's portrayal of an armed Travis Bickle rehearsing threats in front of a mirror, "Are you talking to me?" gives us a real glimpse into an off-kilter mind. This title character, Travis Bickle, of Martin Scorsese's classic film, Taxi Driver, is the focus of our trial.
How are you?
Hey, do I know you, pal?
I don't know, do you? How's the pimp business going?
Hey, listen, I don't think I know you. Why don't you take a walk before you get hurt?
You know Iris, though, don't you? How's Iris doing?
No, as a matter of fact, I don't know no Iris.
You sure you don't know Iris?
I said it before, now listen, Chief. Why don't you go back to the tribe that you came from and get lost?
You got a gun?
Got a gun. Get the out of here.
Suck on this! Vinny, something's going on. See what's going on. Hey!
Son of a bitch!
I'll kill you, son of a bitch!
Standing. You have been selected as jurors in the trial of the people of the state of New York against Travis Bickle for the crime of murder in the second degree. You are entitled to serve as jurors if you promise to be faithful, to be fair, neutral, and impartial. And at the conclusion of the trial, you will render a verdict true unto the law in your hearts. The prosecution ready?
I'm ready, Your Honor.
The prosecution must give an opening statement. Face the jurors if you will.
Good evening, Your Honor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Andrew Kristoff, attorney with the prosecution. This evening, we physically intend to present the case of a man, one man, 4 loaded guns, and 3 dead men. Under the New York penal law, a person who recklessly acts in a manner that creates a grave risk of death to another person and subsequently causes the death of that person is guilty of murder in the second degree. The defendant, Travis Bickle, on the evening of December 22nd, 2004, acted in a reckless manner where he approached the 3 decedents and took the lives of those 3 men. The actions taken by the defendant do not represent the actions of someone who's defending themselves. Actually, the argument can be made that the only people who were defending themselves were the 3 decedents, and they are no longer here to explain what happened in that case. At the end of the evening, we're going to ask you, after presenting all of our evidence and showing without a reasonable doubt that the defendant committed murder in the second degree, we're going to ask you to come back with the only verdict that we think the evidence is going to support, and that's an evidence of guilty. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am John Maringolo, and along with Mr. Walter Squires and Thomas Moran, we represent the defendant in this case, Travis Bickle. The court will instruct you what you hear in opening statements is not evidence. We all have roles in the courtroom. The people are trying to convict Mr. Bickle. The defense is defending him. And the Judge Leibowitz, is the governing body of the law. Judge Leibowitz is here to make sure that the advocates comply with the law and have an orderly trial. At the end of the case, Judge Leibowitz will charge the jury with the law. And you as jurors have sworn to give an unbiased decision. You will make a decision whether people have proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And at that point, you will decide whether Mr. Bickle is guilty or not guilty. The law is that the people have the burden of proving each and every element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. You should be aware that I could just sit here, not say a word, and the people are held to that burden of beyond a reasonable doubt. He is not on trial for being a bad person. He's on trial for these murders. And another day, when you weren't in the courtroom, he came here and pled not guilty. And by pleading not guilty, he denied his guilt, but cloaked himself in the presumption of innocence. And he put the people to the burden of proving every one of these crimes beyond a reasonable doubt, which we, the defense, submits they cannot do. And he did one more thing. He put his faith in the hands of the jury, people good and true, drawn from the community, because you bring here common sense and life experience. What the people is trying to do here is say Mr. Bickle is a cold-blooded murderer. What they are failing to tell you is that Mr. Bickle was defending himself and defending a 14-year-old girl from being raped and drugged by the same man that were deceased that day. The people made a number of representations with respect to my client in their opening statements, but the evidence will show that the people's investigation and the prosecution of this case is overreaching in an attempt to take Mr. Bickle's liberty. For the purposes of this case, we are not disputing that 3 despicable individuals died that day. Mr. Bickle shot them, yes, but we are disputing that Mr. Bickle shot them in cold blood. Mr. Bickle shot them defending himself and defending others. If you find that the defendant was acting in self-defense, in addition to defense of others, you must come back with a verdict of not guilty. The people want you to believe that just because 3 despicable drug dealers and pimps were killed, Mr. Bickle is guilty of murder. The evidence will show that the individuals that were murdered were violent men, keeping a 14-year-old woman against her will. These men with no regard for minors, a minor's well-being, and subsequently, she is scarred for life. What I'm respectfully requesting you is that you look and listen closely to the witnesses and dissect the people's case and each and every crime. And after that, all we want is a fair shake that the system entitles Travis. I submit to you that you may not like Travis, but when there comes a time when people can indict and convict people you don't like, there will come a time when the people can indict and convict people you do like. Thank you very much.